Welcome to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast, where we provide constant improvement to businesses through timely, actionable financial solutions. Do you want answers to your financial questions? Email us at bsp@kaizencpas.com. I'm your host, Mark Valesky. Now let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Kaizen Time. I'm joined by Eric Jordan, a partner here at the firm. Eric, did you buy anything today?
Not yet today, but I'm sure I will.
Not yet. What are you going to use to buy that with?
Oh, credit card.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You got like a wallet full of credit cards these days or what?
No, I'm not. I've not embraced the old manness where I have the ultra thick wallet full of 45 different credit cards and rewards cards.
I'm pretty sure those days are long gone now.
Yep.
Ever since you now have your wallet on your phone, the wallets are getting thinner.
I gotta say, every once in a while I feel really cool, and I do that whole Apple Pay and touch to the terminal, click, face pay. Actually, we bought some airline tickets the other day with Apple Pay, and I thought that was pretty neat.
It is neat. I'm still trying to get used to that, but I still think it's cool. I just went to the gas station. I'm like have this reward program where I can just I get credit for every visit I get.
Oh.
And when I got something, I already paid for it on the app.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I just get used the credit, and I just walked away and never even need my wallet.
When it comes to gas, I'm a Costco diehard, so try to always go to Costco for gas.
Our Costco is not close enough.
And I happen to go across the Illinois border to Wisconsin and
you just
buy the gas that way.
Head north a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, people aren't here to listen to our purchasing
history. One way to save money in Illinois is to drive to Wisconsin for your gas.
Tip number one.
Tip number one for the day.
But let's actually get into fees and specifically with credit cards, because this is a
huge number on everybody's P&L.
Right, and it can actually change the trajectory of a business. And you can see it over the course of a year.
Yeah, I think about it in the course of my time in working with small businesses. Like, credit cards were 50% or less of their activity. And now, for the most part, we're seeing it, unless you're B2B, 80 to 95, 99% of their business. So that credit card cost, every time you swipe a card, right, there's a cost to the business, usually around 3% or so. And
I want to pause you quick. Let's get a little differentiation between credit cards and debit cards. Is that calculated differently? How does that work?
If you have a middleman processor, generally the cost is maybe slight different.
Okay.
But generally the same.
So essentially, if I'm going to your business, whether I use a credit card or a debit card to make a purchase, in the end, it's costing the business the same amount.
Relatively the same amount. Yep. And there's other nuances like, hey, is their card not present? Did I type it in versus swipe it versus chip versus tap versus somebody cleaning it online? There's a lot of nuance, and then you have Amex, you got Discover. We can get into the nuances of this.
Rates, right?
Let's just say it averages somewhere between 2 and 3% for whatever card you use to swipe,
as opposed to cash, where it is
zero, unless your bank decides to charge you to do a cash drop, which
that's the case.
That's a thing now.
You need a new bank now.
Hey, come on. Everybody's got to charge their fees.
Everyone's got to get something. Okay. All right. So let's get into these credit card fees.
Yep. So when I think about a small business profit and loss in our overhead section, right? And one of the things we want to do is control our costs. I think about, let's just say your top 5 expenses. You're going to have some type of wages in there. You'll probably have rent, maybe marketing, advertising, and then credit card fees is probably the next one in the list.
That's wild to even think about.
Yep.
The cost of being able to use a card to make purchases with your clients.
Yep. Now, there's a ton of benefits to getting paid by credit card, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot less controls that I need to implement to deal with credit cards. Money gets into my account pretty seamlessly. There's a lot of wins when it comes to using credit cards. Now let's talk about, though, what's happening with that. So a lot of small businesses, especially restaurants, as margins continue to get squeezed because of other factors in their world, they need to find ways to recoup some of that. So my guess is if you go to a restaurant, you're going to see something called a credit card surcharge on that receipt. And what they're effectively doing is they're passing on the cost of the credit card processing onto you as the consumer.
Okay. And I, just so you know, I have seen a little bit of this. This is mostly in small businesses, specifically restaurants.
Yep.
And they have a little thing on there that says, hey, we are passing this on to you. If you would like to not pay this, just give us cash.
Yeah. Some restaurants are like, yes, we'll do cash. And then others are like, hey, I don't even want to handle cash anymore, but I'm still going to charge you this credit card processing fee. And actually, one of the earliest adopters of charging this processing charge.
Is this going to be a history lesson?
Not really. But oftentimes are some of the state authorities. So like Illinois, if you're going to file your annual report online versus you have to pay a processing fee on that.
This is true. My water bill, renewing my stickers for my license plates,
I'll charge a processing fee unless you paid in, say, cash. And they don't provide you an opportunity to do what's called an ACH, which doesn't carry a percentage processing fee. The states have been one of the first ones to pass on processing fee costs. And it's surprising that it's taken probably through COVID before others have decided they are going to do the same thing. That's a common discussion, right? Hey, I want to get more margin in my business. We get that question all the time. Hey, I want to make more money. How do I do it? Well, one of the things society is starting to take as a norm versus just price inflation is I'm willing to pay that processing fee for using my credit card now.
So all of a sudden it makes you start thinking, hey, if I'm making a large purchase, $3,000, piece of equipment, maybe I'll just go to my bank and pull that up. That actually adds up, right?
I might cut a check, but we hate dealing with cash. And we hate dealing with checks now.
Eric, I'm going to correct you. I actually carry a checkbook with me.
Oh, wow.
And I do not have an issue cutting a check.
Oof.
There have been times, and again, we are getting sidetracked, but there are times where people are like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely take a check. And it works.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. In my world, if I have to cut a check, you're the last person I will pay on this planet. Well, cash is probably worse now because then I have to go to an ATM, pull out cash, and hand you cash. And
then you have change that you have to deal with.
Oh, too. God, yeah. Let's not deal with any of those inconveniences anymore.
All right, back to credit cards.
Yeah, so obviously, right, there's definitely philosophical differences, right? It's an easy way, right? I start adding on my credit card surcharge. I just increase my net income by 3%. Mm-hmm. It's a nice little win there, but right, you got to still deal with social pressures, economic pressures. Is there enough price elasticity in your product or your service that you can afford to do that? I know it's definitely dynamic in how people feel about businesses that pass on credit card fees. I see behind the scenes all the time, so that doesn't bother me quite as much, but somebody on the outside, they might just think it's not a good business practice. Mm-hmm. So then we say, okay, what other alternatives do we have? A lot of businesses don't utilize ACH like they can. So like us as a firm, instead of us, we do accept credit cards. We do pass on a processing fee because we went from never using credit cards to now it's a very small, very, very, very small percentage of our financial processing. We almost entirely collect our revenue via ACH, meaning we pull it directly out of a bank account, which incurs us very small processing fees relative to, say, a credit card, right? Mm-hmm. And for us, it's tens of thousands of dollars a year of an impact to our P&L.
So, quick question for you then: is this an option that every business should be trying to take? Is it viable for them to implement?
In my opinion, yes. Actually, I was just at. Well, I wouldn't say just at, but relatively recently was at the ATI Super Conference, and there's a vendor there. It used to be called FacePay, and now it's called ExpressPay. And their product is literally creating a platform for shops to get paid via ACH and save money on credit card fee processing. So they use a platform called Square, which facilitates banking.
I remember Square. Is it the same
Not
Square,
the
like
terminal
the ship?
or no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was not Square. Square is just a POS. They use Plaid.
Okay.
Plaid is an in between that sends data between banks.
Okay.
But it's so essentially what it does is allows you to have an app on your phone, and just similar to we say Apple Pay, right, where you double click on your phone, hold it up to a reader, it pays. Well, this is kind of similar where you get an invoice to you, and you use this to pay, but it pays via ACH, which incurs very minimal fees comparative to swiping a credit card or having Apple Pay on my credit card and paying that way. There's no 3% fee with that. A lot of times it's a flat ACH fee. And that company charges like a small monthly fee to use their platform. And then that's an opportunity for you to save costs. Another benefit to it is some businesses are dealing with issues of chargebacks. So they might have issues where, hey, I swiped my credit card. And this is actually really popular in the restaurant space where popular is a weird word. It's more rampant, where people might order some pizzas, get it delivered. They call their credit card company, said, I never got this pizza. And they do a chargeback. And the restaurant almost always loses in that case. So they have to eat that cost. I
didn't know this is a thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
I am not informed.
It is a big thing for restaurants. They get scammed relatively frequently. Yeah. So that's why they're leery of single visit customers.
Okay.
But if you pay by ACH, there's no chargeback feature with ACH.
Interesting.
So there's another form of protection for that business. Now, obviously, chargebacks were meant to protect the consumers, but sometimes businesses also need to look at how can I protect myself.
Both should be protected.
Both should be protected.
Defensive driving almost.
Yep. So ACH is it's again right. It's really an underutilized way to get paid and works similar to a check in a way, right?
So you're saying checks are good? I heard it. They work.
ACH is great. Checks. Maybe not so much.
All right. So a quick recap.
Yep.
When we're talking credit card fees, we're talking a lot of stuff because some within like a Venmo and a PayPal, they all have a surcharge kind of thing too. It's all built in.
If
you get like 3% in there.
If you're using the business function, yes.
Yep. And then checks, which are great. Let I just recant that. Are fine and same with cash. Real quick, crypto.
Yeah.
How does that fall in? If I want to pay you for let's say I want to go buy a car with a Bitcoin. How does that work?
Well, you can do it.
Okay.
There's ways to do it. It's not.
Is there like a percentage charge though that still happens for either the?
I don't think so. This is not mainstream enough yet where we have expertise in it, but we're aware that that's a thing that is happening now. Is that you can indeed pay via cryptocurrency, and I believe, if I know offhand, I think they do not charge processing fees. It's more just data movement.
Okay. All right. So to recap, for a small business to address credit card fees, what's the best thing they can do?
Yeah. Again, credit card fees can be one of the top expenses, operating expenses for your business. Right. So it's something to think about. So we have a few options, right? We can pass on credit card fees to our customers, or we can get paid differently, and we cannot be, hey, I'll give you the cash discount.
Mm-hmm.
So we can provide options to pay via ACH, or adopt a product like Express Pay, where it's a facility. Really, it's still paying by ACH, but it's a facilitation of paying by ACH. Or you can explore interesting things like cryptocurrency. Is that a way that we can get paid and handle that within our business?
Perfect. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave a 5-star review. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen CPAs Plus Advisors, providing advisory and accounting services to help you grow your business. Learn more at kaizencpas.com or email us at bsb@kaizencpas.com.